Hello, this is Pastor Jay with Walk in Truth Radio Podcast with your encouraging word for today. We are still dealing with the men, and we're going to paraphrase something out of Ephesians 5:25. And basically, I'm going to give you my interpretation. It says to me, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church, and that he gave himself up for her. Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church, because you're going to be held accountable and responsible for her happiness, her well-being, and her mental, physical, and emotional health. You should be willing to give up and sacrifice yourself for her life. Adam said, "She is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." And Adam loved himself enough to love Eve. If this is true, we must understand as men and women of God, we have to set a standard of excellence in our relationships, where the man becomes a provider and a sustainer and is willing to sacrifice and be the example of Christ in his wife's life. So we have to ask the question, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, have you chosen a man that you can truly follow, or did you choose a cultural man who is willing to take, willing to manipulate, and willing to use you up? Have you made a mistake by your ego? Have allowed yourself not to get a man, but are more comfortable with boys that you can manipulate and raise? Men, have you sold out to the culture to where you don't want to be accountable and responsible for your family and all those around you? And you really don't have a sphere of influence. You're just developing death and destruction and mayhem wherever you go. Instead of building people up and even a woman up, you actually tear her down. Since she got with you, does she have more or less? Or do you think you're entitled to everything that she has just because you're there giving her comfort? You have to think about this and ask those questions for yourself. But better yet, come back later and tune in to Let's Reason Together, which will be released at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I have an interview with Sister Drake and Sister Brown, and they're going to tell from their experiences, two different women in two different geographical locations and different age groups, of their experience with the cultural male. I'm going to play you a short excerpt from this interview, and I pray it'll be interesting enough for you to come back. So what you can do is follow, subscribe, and share, and come back later at 1 o'clock and listen to the interview that I have talking about today's cultural male with two women of God that I have respect for. This is Pastor Jay with Walk in Truth Radio Podcast. I always want you to be encouraged and be blessed and be at peace. And remember, walk in truth. The next voice you hear will be Sister Brown. Peace.
It's like, I just got so tired and stressed and sad, and I could not figure out why it was coming from or where it was coming from. And the whole time that it was this person in my face, helping, giving me hugs to help me feel better, was the same person that was like allowing me to die on the inside.
Hello, this is Pastor Jay with Walk in Truth Radio Podcast, and I want to encourage and implore you to become a podcaster. In today's time, there's a lot of things to be said, and there's things on your mind that other people need to know. The best way to get your word out is to become a podcaster. And the secret to podcasting is becoming part of the Anchor team. Yes, become a podcaster on Anchor FM. All you have to do is download the application and walk through the prompts, and you'll find yourself podcasting before you know it. And the greatest thing about Anchor podcasting, it is free. And guess what? You don't have to worry about distribution. They distribute it all over the planet through many different platforms. So all you have to do is be concerned about your content and they give you tools to mix your podcast with music and sound effects. So again, I encourage you today, go to Anchor and become a podcaster. Download the app and watch how simple it is. This is Pastor Jay signing off. Stay tuned to the show and always be encouraged, be blessed, and be at peace. And remember, walk in truth on Anchor Podcasting. Peace.